So let's talk about the eAdviser index. This shows a clear link between tech adoption and business success. So what's your message to firms still hesitant to embrace digital transformation?
So I think if we go back when we started eAdviser, I think in 2018, something like that, we were actually, or I was inspired by something we saw in the US. We got talking to Fidelity out over in the US, and Fidelity had done a survey essentially of the advice marketplace to work out how well firms were using tech. They just asked them the questions and then looked at their business results to see if they could get a correlation. And we thought, that's pretty cool. We thought, why don't we go one step further and do something better with data? So rather than ask people how they're using the tech, given we're a SaaS system, we've got every single interaction there at our fingertips. And so we use that data to actually tell us how well people were using the technology. And every single year now, since 2018, it's shown exactly the same dynamic. The people that use the technology more run better businesses. They generate more revenue, more recurring revenue, more assets under advice, and have more clients. And it's a straight line. It's a straight line all the way up across the cohorts. Every single year it's shown us that. I think what was really interesting about last year is that the gap is getting bigger. So the people who really adopt the technology outperform by a bigger distance than they did before.
And sometimes you need to see, so, companies, they know they're doing well, but sometimes it's really good to visualize it and see it in data form, isn't it?
Exactly.
Our decisions are working out.
And the truth is, Lucy, we do this across, with some 50% market share in the UK, we do this across half the advice landscape. So it's statistically really, really relevant. It's not just a few questions we've asked to 5 or 6 firms. It's really relevant. So it's categoric proof of the value that can be had by just adopting the tech.
Yeah, absolutely. So with nearly 500,000 users on the personal finance portal, how is intelliflo evolving the client experience? Let's talk a bit about that.
Oh, I'm super excited about that. I was just speaking with Chris Holding, who's our head of UX, who's a fantastic guy and got a great team around him too. And they're so excited about what we're going to be doing with PFP because, with 500,000 odd users, that's a decent section of end consumers, end users out there. We want to make the technology to be as effective for those people to use and intuitive because they don't go on training courses, right? They're not the business users, they're the clients the other side. So the technology has to be really intuitive, both to implement it, log on to it, get the information they need to, alert them to information they should have a look at, and encourage them back into the solution. And doing that in a way that meets them where they are is really important. And in the old days, that used to be like an online portal, and that's fine. A lot of people still, you've got an iPad there, so you could still be using that through. But a lot of the time now, it's just on a mobile phone, and so obviously those two devices have both got to give the same information, but perhaps deliver it in a slightly different way that's meaningful, maybe more touch-oriented in some areas, or more scaled down to the size of the device and so on. So we're making changes that will help people along the way there. So the technology becomes really self-evident, that Apple type experience where you don't need, there used to be in the old days, you buy a piece of technology and you'd have a big wad of thick wad of paper with the instruction manual on how to do it. And obviously Apple completely ripped up that book and said, right, there is no instruction manual. You should just be able to work out how it works. And actually that's how the tech should be.
And it's interesting you say that because, sometimes that is the off-putting thing when it comes to technology. And it's like, here's this incredible thing and here's how you use it. And you think, I'm not going to go with that. But the true sign of good technology, a good platform, good service is something that you can intuitively use. Obviously, you're not going to know everything, but you pick up, you trial and error, you learn as you go along, right? But the key is having something that's intuitive.
Yes, exactly. And absolutely. It's doubly important in advice, which is such a regulated area and where the data actually that these systems are holding is so personalized that you make it intuitive but secure at the same time. So you don't let clients inadvertently get into trouble. So you need that authentication, whether that's Face ID, authenticators, text messages, whatever, to help people protect their data, because that's really important.
Of course, and I guess that's where that trust comes in. Trust is so important in today's digital realm. You know, trust is right up there for me in terms of helping businesses flow efficiently. You know.
It's a really good point, Lucy. And actually, trust is one of those fundamental dynamics that advice businesses trade on as well, where they have the most trusted relationship between themselves and their clients. And you want the technology that is the kind of the window on some of that to complement it, not compete. Yeah,
absolutely. And finally, Nick, we're going to look into our metaphorical crystal ball right now. What's your vision for the future of financial advice, and how will intelliflo continue to lead that journey?
It comes back to a point I made earlier, which is widening access to financial advice. My vision now, and I think we've had this as our kind of mission statement ever since we started back in 2004, but it feels like now, with some of the capabilities that are out there, we talked a lot about AI, that can definitely help. We've talked about implementation, ensuring that the implementation of advice onto a platform is really, really efficient. It feels like we're filling in all of those gaps to allow advice businesses to truly scale their business, and scale it to a bunch of people that ordinarily wouldn't necessarily receive that advice. And so if, with 8% of the population taking advice at the moment, that leaves an awfully large 92% who don't. But even if we could, let's try and be realistic here, even if we could take 8% to 15%, wouldn't that be a big change?
Yes.
And what that means is that it means that individuals will have a safer, happier future underpinned by their finances than they would do today.
Absolutely, and I think that is a wonderful sentiment to end on. Nick, thank you so much for letting me pick your brain. You are a veritable fountain of financial advice knowledge, so thank you so much. You should be really proud of this event. It is not over yet, but it's gone so well, so fantastically so far. You've got so many exciting things in the pipeline, so I guess watch this space, right?
Absolutely, Lucy. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.